Most people think Roblox scripting is just learning code syntax, but that's not even close to the hardest part. If you're starting Roblox scripting thinking it's just tutorials and copying code, you're going to struggle a lot more than you expect. And before we get into it, if you want to actually improve faster, I offer paid one-on-one coaching. You can DM me on my Discord and also join my server for a community around this stuff. Now here's the truth. Learning scripts is the easy part. Beginners think syntax is the challenge, but it's not. At the start, yeah, it feels confusing. You learn what functions do, how variables work, and what events are, but after a while, you start to memorize it. You stop thinking about how to write a loop, you stop thinking about basic structure, writing code just becomes automatic. And once you hit that point, you realize something. Writing code was never the hard part. What people actually struggle with is knowing what to write. You don't struggle with writing scripts, you struggle with knowing what scripts you even need in the first place. Like you sit there thinking, okay, I want to make this system, but where do I even start? And that's the real challenge, because scripting isn't really about typing code, it's about thinking like a developer. You're taking an idea, something simple in your head, and breaking it down into actual systems. For example, you might say, I want to make a combat system. That sounds simple, but when you actually think about it, how does damage work? How do you detect hits? Is there a cooldown? What about animations? How do you handle inputs? What happens on the server versus the client? And how do you prevent exploits? One idea suddenly turns into 10 different systems. And that's what scripting really is. Scripting is translating ideas into systems the game can actually understand. And nobody really prepares you for that part. They teach you how to write code, but not how to think through the problems. And because of that, there's something else you're going to experience a lot. Confusion. You're going to be confused most of the time. Not just sometimes, most of the time. There will be days where you feel like you made zero progress. You'll spend hours trying to fix something, reading errors you don't understand, changing random lines, testing over and over again. And finally, after all that time, you fix it. And it turns out it was missing a bracket, a typo, or something so obvious you don't even know how you missed it. That's scripting. Your brain just short circuits sometimes. You stare at the same code for so long that you stop seeing it properly. And that's why debugging becomes such a huge part of the process. Honestly, most of scripting isn't building, it's fixing. Debugging will take more of your time than actually writing code. And if you're not used to that, it can feel like you're doing something wrong. But you're not. That's normal. Now let's talk about tutorials, because this is where a lot of people get stuck without realizing it. Tutorials are good when you're starting. They help you understand the basics, they show you what's possible, they give you direction when you have none. But if you rely on them too much, they start slowing you down. Because instead of thinking, you start copying. Instead of solving problems, you follow steps. And it feels like you're improving because things are working. But the moment you try to build something on your own, you get stuck. You don't know what to do next, not because you can't code, but because you never actually learned how to think independently. You learn how to follow instructions. And those are two completely different skills. If you want to actually improve, you have to start struggling on your own at some point. That's where real growth happens. And that leads into the biggest reality check. Your first games are going to be bad. Not kind of bad, but actually bad. They'll be messy, your code will be unorganized, systems won't feel smooth, and things will break for no reason. And you'll probably look at other developers and think, how do they make it look so easy? But what you don't see is that they went through the exact same phase. Every good developer has a stage where everything they make feels broken and ugly. That's not a sign you're failing, that's a sign you're doing it right. Because you're actually building, you're actually trying, and that's the only way to improve. Over time, things start to click. You start recognizing patterns, you fix problems faster, you structure things better, and you go from guessing to understanding. But that only happens if you stay consistent. At the end of the day, scripting isn't about getting it right quickly, it's about getting it wrong enough times that your brain starts recognizing what works and what doesn't. That's how you build real skill. So focus on consistency. Build small systems instead of huge ideas, and let things be messy. And most importantly, learn from your mistakes instead of avoiding them, because that's what actually makes you improve. And for a quick message about the Discord server, I'll be using it in the future for some videos, so if you would like to potentially be part of that in the future, or you want to join the community to ask questions to the helpers and get news on certain things related to the channel, consider joining. Channel members also get a role in the server if you are interested in becoming a channel member, alongside other benefits that I explain at the end of the video.